I want to tell you what happened to me yesterday. I went to the gym yesterday for the first time in a while, and I said, I'm going to start getting myself in best shape that I possibly can. So I'm sitting next to this gentleman and find out that his name was Juan. He's going through his locker, pulling things out, looking, and his son, just looking. And he had his son with him. His son looked to be maybe about 15 years old, heavy set kid. So he says, go out to the car and see if you could find it. I didn't really know what he's going to find. Then he mentioned that he's starting to forget, and maybe this might be the beginning of dementia. He said, but I ain't gonna claim it. Then he mentioned he had a plate in his head, and forgetting things hadn't bothered him in a while. But just recently it started again. And he said, then I said, maybe you keep a little notepad, because I forget where my phone at, and I could just sit it down 5 minutes ago and can't remember. He said, if I had a notepad, I'll forget where the notepad was, and he laughed with a chuckle. And then he said that his wife always say when he forgets things, don't worry, I got you. I'll find the stuff. Then he told me not only about the plate in his head, but the rod in his left leg, the 100 pieces of shrapnel that was pulled out of his legs. Then he told me about the plate in his wrist, and he almost lost his hand. Then he told me about his other injuries in his arms, shoulder, and back. And he told me about his 12 tours of duty to Iraq and Afghanistan combined. And then he remembered 13 members of his platoon, which were his friends, and one was his best friend, seeing them die and seeing death all around him. And then waking up in a coma for 3 months. And then seeing his platoon around him with no arms and no legs. And then he mentioned a soldier saying to him, you waking up and telling jokes? And then that's the kind of warrior he was, because of the parts that they were missing and the condition that he was. Then he mentioned that his platoon, listen to this, had re-enlisted, I believe he said 14 times. And he said because they were brothers. And he said they were family. He said their mission was to protect each other. And I think he even mentioned that his commander tried to talk him out of re-enlisting. And he said, this is the only thing I know. This is my life. He said people understand seeing the dark side and coming from the dark side. He said he lived in an abandoned building when he was a kid, I think about the age of 17. And he's no struggle. If people don't understand struggle, people don't care. But he cared about his brothers, that he would re-enlist, and they would follow him to re-enlist to protect each other. And then he told me about a story one time before they was going to be deployed, of a lady that came to him and says, protect my husband, don't let him die. And he said, I promised I would try my best. And then coming back from the tour duty, whatever that young man was that died, the lady came, beat on his chest and said, you promised, you promised. And then what he said, but he's free now. He's free now. So, this story is about love, protection for one another. Then he mentioned about a nurse who took care of him while he was in that 3-month coma. He said she washed him, she talked to him, she said she read to him. And he asked her, why did she do that? She said, because after hearing all the stories and the lives that you saved, she felt it was her job and her responsibility to care for you. He mentioned some scriptures, and one of them, I think, was Psalms 1:3. It says, a righteous as a tree planted by streams of living waters. And that means living waters. That means we're connected. And that means, like it says, the streams of living water, righteousness. And this man was righteous, and he protected and loved his platoon. So I tell you all that to say this, that we, like I said, I don't know this man. And he says it's something about, and he mentioned this too, he says something about animals. He said when he goes to this particular farm, I think it's a family farm or something, I don't know where it's at, but he says when he sits and be quiet, he said the cows, the pigs, the chickens, he says, I believe it's a donkey, would come, and the donkey would come and say, hee-haw, and rub his face against his. He said the animals just sit there, and whoever was around him say, how do you do this? He said the animals knows what's inside of you. Animals know everything about you. So we're all connected. Those animals understand his spirit. And he says, when you calm, you can hear and feel things. So, and he says, so animals know. But anyway, what I want to say to everybody, we're connected. We should be more like one to protect our brothers and sisters with love for one another. Not let an entity or government tear us apart. I learned a lot from this guy in just those 15 minutes he shared with me. And we need to learn a lot about what we see and what we really care about. Because he said you don't know struggle. And those people in the White House that are billionaires, they'll never know struggle. They'll never know being without a meal. They'll never know not being able to pay a bill. They'll never know not having health care. They'll never know how you feel. And that's what he was saying. You don't know unless you've been there. I'll never know what he'd been through. I'll never know what he saw. I'll never know death the way he saw, but all the vets know. And this t-shirt say, we may not know them, but we owe them. And we owe it to each other, to protect each other, to love each other, to be each other's brother's keeper. That's all I got to say, and I'm out.